Okay, so let's see. So I want to look at draft. I think I'm going to go like fairly quickly through the draft because I think it's fairly straightforward, and I think I couldn't find anything in the draft that I like think I should have done differently, which maybe is expected given that I drafted this draft. But okay, anyways, so pack one, pick one. This is one of the more interesting packs, I think. So looking at the cards, you know what would be cool if you could like have something here that like a checkbox that said like, that made an overlay for game in hand win rate of each card or something, or like choose a stat, choose a category or something. Anyways, um, so whoops, um, yeah, okay. So the cards I considered here were mostly Tail Swipe, Bite Down, and Tribute to Urborg. I think those are the best cards in the pack. Best red card is like Picker, but not going to take that over Removal Spell. Sleeper is the only white card in the pack, but I don't think it's good enough to take a Removal Spell either. And I don't think Czar is like good at all, mostly. Like, there are some decks where Czar can be good, but it's just very rare to end up in that spot, and you definitely don't want to take it this early. So Tail Swipe, Bite Down, Tribute. I don't actually know which of Tail Swipe and Bite Down I like more. It's like kind of close. I probably lean Tail Swipe, but like certainly I could see Pack 3 having a deck where like I would rather Bite Down than Tail Swipe. Like if I have a couple Gardeners I'm planning to play or something. I don't know. Usually Tail Swipe, but sometimes Bite Down over it. But either way, I think Tribute is mostly just a better card. There's been a lot of times where I'm green and I have had like an awkward time. I should hide records probably because like that's not relevant right now. I've had an awkward time just like getting enough creatures or like creatures with like enough power to make these removal spells like Tail Swipe and Bite Down do much. And Tribute I feel like has more often been like split card, early removal, late hard removal, right? Also, thank you for the follow, Ancient Hangover. I hope your hangover is getting better. Um, but yeah, like, so another thing to note: this cuts the only black card. Small thing, but more relevant. Yes, Tribute doesn't get blown out, doesn't need setup. It needs a bit of synergy to make it actually like hard removal in the late game, and as we'll see, my deck did actually struggle with that, and that was one of its problems. But yeah, I agree. It just is more generically powerful. So yeah, this like basically just cuts black going to the left, which is kind of nice. Sends a signal. I'm in black. Or like like if I keep consistently sending the signal, I'll likely get a better pack too. Tail Swipe, Tribute, Bite Down. I don't care that much about game in hand win rate. I don't think I want to look at that for this review. Mostly this is just giving my thoughts, which I don't know. I feel like I have a lot more nuanced things to say than just game in hand win rate. I don't think I looked at 17 lands at all during this draft. Hello. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Sorry, Oraim. Anyways, so no. There's also a Toxic Abomination, so they don't know for sure I took a black card because this card's still in the pack. But so another effect I want to mention, which factored into this, like I would have taken Tribute even with just that, but like another thing that factored into this was I think if I take Tail Swipe, right, it's fairly likely that like out of this pack, Bite Down and Sojourner are two of the better cards in this pack, right? Like there's Tail Swipe, Bite Down, Tribute, Sleeper. Picker is fine, comparable level to Sojourner, Grotto, But like after that, it, like kind of drops off. Maybe someone wants this land, but like if I take Tail Swipe, it's completely possible that another person takes Bite Down and a third person takes Sowioner. But if I take Tribute, probably it's going to be hard for like 3 people to go take Tail Swipe, Bite Down, Sowioner. And if 3 people do that, like if 3 different people are taking good green cards, then I'll know more to stay out of green, right? So and a final note. There's a lot of notes on this pick, but I do think it is like one of the more interesting. Maybe not interesting. One of the picks I can say the most about in this draft. A final note. I've been not liking starting green without like something on the level of Tatyova. Like I do not want to go into green for commons these days. Like I feel like it is basically my feeling is that green decks need a lot of things, and it is fairly consistent to get like 80 to 90% of those things, but it is hard to get all of them. And like one of the things you kind of need is a lot of power to that can compensate for it. So like I don't want to start green without like a Tatyova or something like that. I would rather be in a more like easier to like a deck that I need fewer picks for, like a blue-based spells deck or a white-based aggro deck, than to start green. But like that's not saying I'm like unwilling to. It's just all else equal, I do lean a bit away from green for that fact. And like when I do go in, it's mostly go in early. I mostly do it for uncommons, not really commons. Like I don't really want to take a Root Walla or a Bite Down, pack 1, pick 1 as much. Anyways, pack 1, pick 2. This one is slightly interesting. There's Cult Conscript or Bortuk Bone Rattle. So here, I'm going to kind of contradict myself earlier when I said, like, you know, I don't want to start green that much, right? By taking this green card, right? This is pick 2. I could easily take the Cult Conscript. The thing is, I don't actually like this card that much, except in aggressive decks. And Tribute is kind of naturally a defensive card. I'm not going to cut it from like an aggressive black-white deck or something like that. But it does go less well with Tribute than Vortex. Also, like I mentioned, I'm expecting to get back like this Sowioner. So I'm like, okay, I can splash Bone Rattle, even if I'm not black-green specifically. It's also, I think, the best card in this pack over Cult Conscript. So yeah, I'll just take one here. I think this is an interesting thing that does come down to preference, though. There's also Lightning Strike. I don't think you should ever take Lightning Strike here over Cult Conscript, because for one thing, I don't like being black-red. Black-red is not really a direction I like, and Conscript is just a generic, just a pretty powerful card. Vivisector and Land. Oh, I don't think you ever take Vivisector over Conscript. Land is slightly interesting. If it were a black-blue land, maybe it would be more interesting, but like I don't want to speculate on the land not in my colors. Yeah, anything else about this? Not really. And all I know is that the person to my right took a rare. I believe Shota was passing to me, and I believe he probably took Sphinx. Because I don't know, we don't know his draft, but like we know he ended up with a Sphinx, so he Pac-Man picked one it at some point. Or like he picked it first pick at some point. We never saw it between me and Zach, who were the two featured drafters. Also, wild, maybe I'll go over Zach's pick, but Zach passed Shota a Loam Speaker, and that was pretty bad for me. Also, on the point that Arena Champs were more likely to pick the green stuff highly, there were a lot of multicolored green decks in this Arena Championship. Though also, I did go and look over like all the decks, and It turns out there were just a lot more green cards open. There were like 12 plus copies of green, some of the key green commons opened versus like 4 essence scatters. And this is across the entire 4 pods. There were 4 essence scatters across all 4 pods. So like there weren't a lot of blue decks because there just weren't a lot of blue cards for some reason. Anyways, this pick. Let's see. Choking Miasma, I think, is just the clear pick here. Just a very powerful card that I'd want in any black controlling deck. I am a fan of main decking it currently. You could sideboard it sometimes. Like, certainly if it kills if it kills too much of your stuff, maybe you should sideboard it. But gets slightly worse in open deck lists, but like you do just need this effect sometimes. Or you could say, you know, sometimes just having it in your deck forces your opponent to play around it. Anyways, there's also Sentry and Vine Wall, but both I think are worse than Miasma, especially since this stays black. There's a land, but I think that's way too aggressive to take over a good card like Miasma. Yeah. I guess you could point at Rulik Mons as a card, but I think it's a lot worse than both of the green commons. Then there's these 2 like blue commons here that are decent. Not something I would like jump at to like pick to get into blue necessarily, but they're here. There's also Battlefly Swarm. That's fine, black card, but you know, Miasma is just the best card here. Okay, then we get to this pick, where I take the only playable card in the pack. There's also Karplusan Forest, but I don't like speculating on a Pain land, like, because unless I know I'm going to need it. Like, I'm not looking like I'm going to need red mana right now. Though, like, I might. But, like, I'm not looking like I'll need additional red mana, certainly. And Impulse is just a powerful card. I could be, like, you know, I could still be, like, blue-black spell-ish thing, splash, a spell-ish kind of deck, splashing Vortok. I mean, packs are going to look like this when, you know, people are good at drafting, but, like, also, let's see, there was an uncommon taken and 2 commons taken. Yeah, packs will just look like this. And then this pack, the only cards of note, really, some note for Urtai Scorn, but it's pretty medium. Then there's Land and Prophecy. After I take an Impulse and I have a Tribute, I'm definitely just taking the land here. Like, perfect in my colors. Yeah. Shadow Prophecy is a card I want, like, 1 of, maybe 2 sometimes, so I don't like taking it this highly. And then Vine Wall, not taking any of the red cards, because I'm just not close to there. Colossal Growth is not likely to be good in this deck. Illusionist, I think, is generally pretty poor. Sometimes I play it. As you'll see, I do play 1 for some mana fixing or, like, domain fixing. But yeah, Vine Wall, I think, is just the best card here. There's also Necromass, but I don't have any, like, Soul Tenders to go in that direction. I think you do need, like, something like Soul Tenders to help enable this. Also, I'm looking more spells, so it's likely worse. Barricade over Soul Tender. This one's actually pretty interesting. There's actually quite a few good cards in this pack. Soul Tender, Gaia's Might, Barricade, Impulse. I think I want to take a black card because I still am most strongly in black. Like, I could see myself being black-blue at this point. I don't need to play this Vine Wall. And, like, my best cards are all black. So I think I prefer taking one of the black cards over Impulse. The second Impulse also does get worse, especially when, like, I don't have a Terror. I have a Tribute, which pays it off, but I don't have a Terror. Gaia's Might, this deck just isn't one that uses Gaia's Might right now. This is the only creature I have that can attack. I think the second Impulse is not horrible, but I still think I would rather take another black card and not take, like, a spell card when I don't have it. Like the second Impulse, I wouldn't play in my deck unless I have things that care about spells that much. And yes, the Miasma is what's pushing me towards Barricade over Soul Tender. Also, this Vine Wall. Like, Soul Tender is a generically good card, This is too for to some extent, but since I have a Vine Wall, this both leans a bit more into like possible walls packages I could get, like Chaplain, and also helps make the Vine Wall better by like making it so I can sack the Vine Wall to Barricade later. Those are mostly my thoughts on Barricade here over Vine Wall. This is an interesting pick. I had like on stream selected Shadowrite Priest for like most of the time running out, and then I last minute switched to Founding, and the reason is, first of all, this card. So I was thinking, oh, I can get Bortuk, but then I realized at some point, like in the middle, actually, if I get Bortuk, it's just a 4/4. Like this is, you have to cast it, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I also don't have any clerics. Like this does generally end up like buffing at least one or two things, and the ability is powerful if you have a Necromass, but like it's mostly just Necromass, and it doesn't actually work with this Bone Rattle. So I decided to take this, and the reason is like I already have some spells. Like I have an Impulse and a Tribute that I can cast off it, and I also have this Wrath, which sometimes you just want to flash back a Wrath. This is more of a sideboard pick. I like basically put it to the side, but yeah. There's also Scout. I just don't tend to like this card, but yeah, and not taking Abomination here. And here is exactly what I predicted. Sojourner came back, so I'm feeling like decent at this point, but like I'm a bit like I have a good setup with a Wrath, a removal spell, like a land, some early setup stuff, and like two large things for late. But like don't have anything excellent. I don't have like a Tatyova, I don't have a bomb, so feeling okay. Then this pick, I just don't like Academy Wall very much, and I do have a 6-drop, so Relic can be okay fixing. Oh, I remember someone commented at some point that it's so weird to look at like the known missing cards and see it be actually the 7 best cards in the pack. Like, you know, regular arena drafts, that doesn't happen very much because people are like not particularly good at drafting, but here, yeah, obviously these are players who know what they're doing. The cards picked are going to be the best ones. Yeah. Here I just don't like Relic Mons much. I would rather have a second Vine Wall to set up my mana. Again, we can see best cards taken. And Meteorite, just because these two cards are unplayable. Yeah. This is an interesting pick. Jaya, Knight, Rootwalla, I think are the main considerations. I already have 2 Vine Walls, so I don't need to prioritize the third over like a Rootwalla. My thought here is I'm not that much of a Knight of Dusk Shadow deck. Like, don't get me wrong, this card is still good, even in a very defensive deck. It is certainly not. It certainly drops off more than the White Knight does in a defensive deck, because like this Menace is a very offensive ability versus First Strike, which can be used defensively. And you know, obviously, your opponents can't gain life; that only does stuff offensively. So when I'm playing a bunch of like Vine Walls, like right now I have a bunch of Vine Walls and like a Choking Miasma. I'm not really leveraging this as an attacker that well. Granted, like I could pick up Mary's Outriders; those help, but like this card isn't necessarily going to be maximized. Jaya, I'm not locked in to anything right now. I don't need to play these blue cards. Red is a common color to play in like these green cards. Like for Lightning Strike Outrider, for example. And this is like a rawly powerful card, which is something which I'm missing right now. Like right now I need some kind of thing too close to like, you know, just boost my deck up a bit. And I have a lot of fixing. I have 2 Vine Walls and a Relic. The Meteorite, if it comes to that. I already have a blue-green land. So I think it's worth it here. I think you could also argue about these two. I think the Knight is still better, but yeah. I'm just like not concerned about this mana cost at all, and I'm like prepared to like maybe not play the Miasma to be able to play the Jaya or something. Anyways, next pick. I take blue-red land here over Outrider and Urg. Definitely not taking Urg here because Urg almost always wheels in spots like this. Like, it's very unlikely for someone else to be black-green and to want the Urg all that much, I think. Like, this is a fine card, but not, like, actively... Like, this is a card I would definitely put in my deck, but not one that I'm, like, actively seeking out for, in my opinion. And I just took a Jaya, so I do need some mana fixing. And, like, this land is in 2 colors that I'm trying to use, as opposed to this one. I'm not using white at all. So, yeah. I'm taking the land here, expecting to wheel the Urg, and I want to take the land over to the Outrider because I just took a Jaya. And then, this pick, I think, it's entirely possible I was supposed to take red-green land. I think I'm supposed to take Nail over Lurgoyf because, like, I don't actually have that high of a creature count right now, and I would prefer to take some more spells for, like, Tribute and Jaya to some extent. So I do like taking Nail over Urborg Lurgoyf. This might be a bit too greedy against the land, though. This is one that I think is really close. And I just decided I need a bit more threats right now. And if I'm playing Jaya, and I have this blue-red land, this blue-green land, so I probably am good on blue, like, all I need is white to make me Domain 5, so, like, I'm more likely to be Domain 5 than usual. And then this pack is kind of terrible. I just take a Joint Exploration as a worse impulse here. Not really looking to play any of these cards. I could take a Dog Badger, but I don't think I need it at this point. I have some amount of, like, early bodies, and, like, the Impulse is fine. Fun fact, I ended up playing this over Impulse. I wasn't sure which one was better to main deck. I wanted, like, one copy of one of them. And I decided that, like, the ramp on this was actually kind of relevant, which is why I played it main deck over Impulse, but I could totally see that being wrong. And then pretty happy to take a Bite down here. I only have 1 removal spell, want a second. Don't really want to take Jodex. I only have 2 lands, and like I need the removal first before I can take Jodex. And yeah, not gonna take Sojourner over this. Don't want to take a Librarian over it. Just want the removal. Pretty great to see an Outrider here. I waffled a bit on Rager versus Outrider, but I'm pretty sure I want like a bit more top end right now. And Outrider is an excellent way to like actually help me finish games, which could be a problem when I like, you know, my early stuff is all Vine Walls and such. Also another thing for this Bite Down. Rager I felt like just wasn't that relevant when like I don't need a 2/2 on the ground, right? Like the 2/2 is worse because like I have things like Miasma, I have things like Vine Wall, and the draw card's also worse when I have things like Impulse and Joint Exploration already to find my stuff. So I think I just want Outrider. And then I just don't care about Iconoclast here. Oh, this pick, I actually selected Vohar for the longest time. And then last minute I switched to Vine Wall. And I basically, like, on the last frame or something, I switched to Vine Wall. I was thinking, like, Vohar is a generically powerful card. It's in my colors. I have some spells I'd like to flashback. But, like, in the end, I landed on just, like, I need Vine Wall here to play this Jaya. And yeah, never taking Thran Portal here. Don't want it even though it does fix. And just don't really care about Iconoclast. And this pick is crazy. I really want to know how this ended up here. I won't get to know because like no one else has draft logs of this event, which I think is kind of. I really wish that like, I should maybe just like contact some of the like the like people who were like broadcasting and producing like it and like ask them if like basically expressed my opinion that it would interest more people who are interested in draft if you did things like have draft logs. Because Shoda took Sphinx over it. No, so okay, that's the thing though. Shoda was not the only other green drafter. There were like 4 green drafters at this table. I was green. Shoda was green. So Shoda probably took like Sphinx or Mindsinger over it. Sure. Eldar was green. They were the like other green multicolored deck that I faced in round 1 with a really close match. Don't know why. Don't know what they took over this. Maybe Tatyova? Maybe there was a Tatyova in the pack? Who knows? And then, like, Zach was kind of green. I don't know at what point Zach started being green. Okay, Zach was train wrecking. Do you know... What did Zach see out of this pack? Do you remember? Oh. Yeah, I might want to look at, like, what Zach saw out of this pack. Like, Zach saw this pack second, so presumably a rare was missing. But yeah. Anyways, this is great for my deck, though, I will note, I think this card lost me a game. Specifically, this card is one of the worst cards possible against the card Cruelty of Gix. And there was a game against Cruelty of Gix, which you guys will see, in which my opponent played a turn 4 Cruelty of Gix after I had mulliganed to 6, and then drew this after my mulligan. if this had been in my opening hand, I would have put it on the bottom because I knew my opponent had Cruelty of Gix, and I don't want that in my opening hand. Like, I really don't want this card in my opening hand in that matchup. And then I ended up trying it, so that was unfortunate. Yeah, things did not go my way. Here, this is a sideboard pick. I just don't want to play any of the other cards, and Negate is a pretty decent sideboard option. Urg, like I expected, in fact wheeled. Interesting that people want a lot of fixing here. But Pixie Illusionist, only playable card out of this pack really for me, and it does actually help with some of my mana issues. So yeah. Taking a wall here because I do have a lot of walls, and I can imagine wanting a wall package more than I need this finisher when I got a 7/7. And yeah, just taking a playable card. I'm probably not going to play, but it's a colored librarian, which is worse, but whatever. This is a really good pack on pick one. This card is exactly what I want, just like a rare card that helps make my deck better. Just very good. There's also a Terra Center. I don't think I'm supposed to take the Terra Center over the Green Widow, but it is actually a lot closer than one might think, I think. Because, you do really want hard removal, and that was one of the things that my deck really struggled with, not having any hard removal. But this card is just too good. Also, right now, I have 2 lands. I'm taking basically every reasonable land in this pack. And then this pack is kind of bad. Maybe there's some world where I'm supposed to take Shield Wall Sun. Update game info on Twitch. I don't know what you mean by that. Where's what game info? Oh, I'm not playing Celeste anymore. I'm great at streaming. Thank you. Thank you. I knew I was thinking about that, but then I forgot. Anyways. Yeah, my thought here is I have a lot of Vine Walls. I want to not flood out as much. Wait, did I draw this card? I think I never drew this card. Wild. Because I was huh. I did flood a bit, quite a bit, and I don't think I ever drew this card. It's kind of funny. Anyways, Shield Wall Sentinel is like kind of reasonable when I have when I have some walls already, but I don't think I can take like that over Vine Shaper. It is a pretty weak pack, which is why I'd consider the Sentinel. There's also a Barricade, but like I think I want the Prodigy a bit more. And then here, just take a land. It's like the perfect land for me. Just want more lands. There's a lot of picks like that in this pack. There's a Shadow Prophecy that I'm slightly sad to pass, but like, just need the land. And another Tribute, perfect. Needs some more removal. Still not hard removal, but do just need some more removal. Interestingly, there's this Coral Colony here, which did end up pretty good in my deck. And it does wheel. I don't think I'm supposed to take it over the Tribute, though. There's also Terra, but I'm a pretty bad Terra deck. Outrider over Hydromancer. I just don't like this card very much at all, and this is perfect. More lands. I was so sad to pass this Repossession. I hovered over it so much on the stream for content. But I just need the land here. And I would take the blue-black land over green-black land because I would rather play forests than islands. No, I disagree. I disagree. I think I need the land. Like, I really need the land. Another thing is, like, I have a lot of playables. Repossession would replace, like, realistically, like, Impulse. Like, Impulse does a similar thing to Repossession, quite honestly. Right? Like, obviously, it's a lot worse, but I have some of this effect. I have a Vortex Bone Rattle, right? Like, I can, like, dig to my... I can, like, keep a stream of big things going, right? Repossession is extremely good, but I just need some more consistency right now. Of course, I do get another Vine Wall here, which does help a lot. Sideboard card. This is a huge pickup, right? Especially with 4 Vine Walls, I just see this card a lot more often. And then Barricade, Impulse, Coral Colony, Bog Badger, whatever, yeah. Deck building is kind of interesting as well. I think lands is, like, pretty obvious. Like, I guess it's not obvious that I'm running 6 black sources here, which I think is enough when I have 4 Vine Walls, and I have... I think I got to 9 green sources. Yeah, I have 9 green sources, which I need for these Vine Walls. I have 16 lands. This one, I would have gone 15 if I thought I had enough sources. Because with these 4 Vine Walls, I would have strongly considered 15. But I don't think I can when I just don't have enough sources already, as it stands. Like, I have 3 red sources and 4 Vine Walls to try to cast this Jaya and a Relic. Yeah, it's, like, kind of sketchy. And the other choice is, like, playing 1 Joint Exploration and neither of the Impulses. I felt like the ramp... Like, I was likely to have a lot of lands in hand because of Vine Wall, and the ramp did matter. Especially, like, holding a Barricade and Joint Exploration, for example. Maybe I should have been playing another Impulse, but it was hard to find something to cut here. I, like, wanted all the walls. Like, the Barricades are important for making the Vine Walls better. I wanted all of this top-end stuff. I needed the Relic for fixing. I needed all of this removal. And, like, this Pixie Illusionist I think I also needed for fixing and to make the Nail sometimes draw a card. So, yeah. Anyways, let's go over the games. So this was 24th here. This first match is definitely the most interesting out of all of them. Okay, so game 1. This was pretty straightforward. This is, like, pretty easy keep. I have 2 lands, which is like mostly what I need, and a cantrip to find my mana, and I have like, you know, removal, a threat, and a pixie that actually helps Nail be more of a threat. On the play, just pretty normal start. I scry 2 non-lands to the bottom and draw a forest. Perfect. Then I play Relic into Pixie because I want to next turn be able to play Nile, guaranteed. It's like not unreasonable to go Vine Wall Pixie, but I just want to get this Relic down. I also don't really care about killing their Pixie. They ramp, and they decline to offer the trade of Pixies, which is interesting. Like it looks like they have all their colors, but I'm like pretty happy to just not take 1 damage, and I wouldn't want the trade, so I'm just happy about that. Anyways, then I draw a land and I play Nile. I don't get to play Vine Wall, unfortunately, because this is a tap land, but that's fine. Then they play a Wrath, and I attack with this. I'm like holding full control this entire time, and only like make a land that's only tap my Pixie after this goes through. It's like slightly unnecessary, but whatever. So I put a bunch of stuff to the bottom and draw a Mossbeard Ancient. And then, you know, just use my mana efficiently here. Play that. Pass, intending to kill Wrath with this tribute. And like they in fact go for the Shadow Prophecy, and I kill Wrath in response. Just a very good trade for me. Kill Nail, that's fine. They repossession back Ajani and Wrath. They put Ajani in their graveyard. Then I untap and draw Coral Colony, and this is just like my plan for most of the game. But like first I play Bone Rattle, get back Nail. They're gonna answer it, as it turns out, but this also amusingly lets me play a Coral Colony this turn as well. Yeah, they take the Nail, and they play Tatyova and the Ajani. And honestly, I get like kind of lucky here. Oh, I did draw the Vine Shaper in 1 game, apparently. So Vine Shaper, get a wall, attack Ajani, they trade, play the wall. I debated not attacking Ajani because I wanted to mill this turn, but I decided against. I also get pretty lucky that they just don't draw another land here. Another land would be pretty good for them as a free 3/3. Also, thank you so much for the resubscription, NCA. 17 months. That's a long time. Also, I enjoyed catching some, but not all, because, you know, obviously I was playing, of the watch party that you held. Doing my own post hoc right now. But yeah. So now I'm just like keeping Ajani in check with this Illusionist while whoops. Oh, is there like apparently 17 lands tracks like a lot of the phases because I was in full control for a lot of this. It's kind of funny. Anyways, get pretty lucky to draw Bite Down to answer this Tatyova, but I don't have anything big here. Like, this is one of the reasons why I think Bite Down's kind of awkward sometimes. Like, this Bite Down doesn't do anything without this 7/7. Yeah, so now I get to kill the Tatyova and start just milling them into oblivion, and the rest of the game is just like I mill them, and like they can't really get through. They make an attack. It's not a particularly good attack, but it doesn't really matter. They're not getting through unless they find a removal spell, and they just don't. Okay, anyway, so that was game 1. That was a very straightforward game. Now, sideboarding, I chose to swap Joint Exploration for Impulse because I felt like I wanted specific cards more than I wanted ramp. Their deck isn't particularly fast. And I also declined to bring in Broken Wings, even though they do have Leyline Binding and 2 Pixie Illusionists, because I felt like the Illusionists weren't quite relevant enough, and I didn't want to bring in Broken Wings for 1 card. They did have a Weatherlight in the sideboard. I didn't expect them to side it in, but they did. So I guess slightly punished on that sideboard decision or something. Anyways, game 2. This one I went over at the at Chords class today, but I keep this hand because I have an Impulse. It's very likely that in like I get 5 draws off of this Impulse to find a green source on turn 1 even. So yeah, it's just like very likely to find a green source, and I find a green source immediately. So yeah, or 6 off on turn 2, I guess, because I can't cast Impulse turn 1. Then Impulse. Amusingly, this is one of the times where what Impulse put to the bottom is going to be very relevant in the near future. But I see these 3 cards, and they're put to the bottom, and I didn't choose their order. Maybe I should have held full control, but oh well. So my opponent also does some card draw, and I top deck a Swamp. Perfect. Perfect mana. Nothing's... perfect Tron. Okay, so this is an interesting spot that I didn't actually mention. Here I can cast Sojourner or Nile, and they've passed, holding up mana. I know they have an Essence Scatter, so I decided to lead with the Nail because, like, I don't actually care about it that much. I think I care about this card a lot more than Nail here because I don't actually have a way to turn on 5 color, full domain for 5 with Nail. Like, this is just a 2/4 that scries when it hits. This, like, is an actual threat. I mean, like, 2/4 flyer is a threat, but yeah. So I lead with Nail, it gets countered like I expected, and then they play a Pixie. I play... Okay, here, I could try to play Vine Wall or Sojourner. Yes, I do turn it on one game with Pixie, but what I'm saying is I don't have Pixie in hand right now. And, like, it's going to be pretty hard. Like, I have 1 card in my deck that lets it draw a card. So, like, it's not going to be that much better than Scry. So I just run it out. Anyways, play another Outrider here, just use my mana. They play a Johnny and start hitting me with a 6/6. So now what I'm thinking is I want to push damage, right? I don't really have an answer to this 6/6 flyer. I didn't board in Broken Wings. So I really want to push damage here. I want to try to get them dead. I have a second Outrider. They're secretly at 10. So that's, like, pretty doable with my 2 creatures. They, like, next turn this won't have Vigilance. So here, I decide, like, okay, one thing that came up was, like, I could play the second Outrider here and try to double block this 6/6, right? That's maybe a reasonable line. But what that does is, 1, if they have a removal spell, they're just going to attack. Definitely. And, like, maybe if they don't have a removal spell, they still attack. But, like, it puts me in a really awkward position where I just completely lose to a removal spell if I play Outrider here. And, like, maybe they don't have it, but even if they don't have it, maybe they decide, oh, I don't need to, like, rush. I'm in no hurry. I have a Najani that's ticking up, and I have a 6/6 blocker. I'm just going to stay back, not attack, and then that's also terrible for me, right? Like, they're going to win that long game if I just let Johnny keep ticking up and, like, -3 again to give it Vigilance again so that I can get in a clean attack. I just don't want the board to be that wide right now on their side. So I want to put... Also, hiding my second Outrider is nice for pushing damage as well. So I play Vine Wall and Sojourner and also use my mana a bit better. So now I get attack for 6, and they make 2/1/1s, and here I attack them. Basically, I'm trying to race this Ajani. Like, I'm trying to race them, so I don't want to attack the Ajani. And they choose to double chump, which, yeah, totally respectable. They want to keep their life total high. Yeah, I also drew the perfect card for turn. I used all my luck in these first 2 games, and then misplayed to throw it, but yeah, this Mossbeard gives me enough life that to not die to Lightning Strike or Meteorite here, which is nice. So yeah, and also puts a large threat on board. This is just perfect draw. So yeah, they attack me again, and then they play 2 creatures here, Nomada and Vine Wall, and then this is an interesting turn. So theoretically, if they minus a Johnny on this Illusionist and attack with it, and they have a removal spell for this Outrider that I'm going to play post-combat here, then they'll have lethal. That would be that would be unfortunate, right? So I could kill the Ajani. I could attack the Ajani with some amount of things and be guaranteed to kill it. But if I do that, then they have an Numada in play. And, like, you know, if they don't have a removal spell, I still need to chump this Illusionist with my Outrider, and now they're making 1/1s. Also, I have a Gibbering Barricade on the battlefield, so, like, I want to sacrifice creatures for value. They're making 1/1s. So, I really can't... I can't just take the line of attacking a Ajani. That's just not going to win me the game here, is what I decided. And actually, if I attack their face with all 3 of these, they have to actually chump with both of these. They have to chump Vine Wall on a 4/4 and Numada on either the 7/7 or like a Vine Wall on a 4-power creature and a Numada on one of the other creatures. Otherwise, they take 11 and then die to my Outrider. So I attack face to force the double chump, get Numada off the battlefield, play Outrider, and accept that I'm dead to a removal spell. And that's just going to have to be fine. Like, I'm not beating a removal spell here anyways, so yeah. Another interesting thing I do, I don't play the Vine Wall here. I have green, blue open, and but I want to keep a card in hand here and not play my Vine Wall to bluff having something like a Negate or a Bite Down, both of which would punish them. Okay, Bite Down less so because they can, like, minus Ajani first before using removal, but both of which would, to some extent, punish them for going for lethal here. Right? I want to have like make them play a bit more scared. I'm holding full control also. And I've been holding full control the whole match, basically. But basically, I want to make it so that they should hesitate a bit at going for the kill if they have a removal spell. Like, it's pretty bad if they spend their turn, like, casting a Tear Asunder on my 4/4 and I negate it, right? Because then it's going to be pretty hard for them to come up with enough blockers to block all 3 of these things. So yeah, that's why I don't play the Vine Wall here. Anyways, they don't play around the negate anyways, and they play an Urborg Repossession. It's not a removal spell though, so we're still alive. And they get back 2 creatures to block with, and then they plus Ajani and attack, and I block to not die. So now I'm in the mode of just chumping this Illusionist forever, but I theoretically can get to 9, so I can take a hit from this. So first I sack the Vine Wall. I have nothing in hand, really, so I'm going to sack this Vine Wall, draw a card, see what I draw. Nothing. And play the other Vine Wall and hold up chump sacking with Barricade. And I still... I still have a turn here. If they want to I don't have good attacks that turn because, you know, they can just block things. And... I don't die to removal spell anymore either, because removal spell I can just sack in response, gain a life, and I would stay at 1. Full control does not slow the game down much at all if you're good at using it. I haven't heard of it ever being banned, actually. Okay, that's not true. I've heard, like, maybe it was banned at some point, or like or like people were told like not to go too hard on it or something. But yeah, like clock is a resource players can like. My clock is a resource. There are matches that go to time sometimes, and like you lose if you go to time in this tournament. So yeah, it's just not that slow. Anyways, so they attack here. So here's an interesting thing. I could just sacrifice my Vine Wall, and that is theoretically, that does theoretically leave me not dead, right? That would leave me at 1. But they have both Lightning Strike and Meteorite, which would kill me. So I elect not to take that risk. I think I am, like, not in a completely horrible position right now. I can go to 9, and the next turn, if I sack 2 things, I'll be out of the range of Meteorite anyways. But yeah, I just decided I don't want to take that risk. It does mean I have a smaller chance of killing them, but I think I just don't. They have 5 cards in hand. I don't think I want to just die to Meteorite here. Anyways, then they play Weatherlight, which I'm really surprised they brought in. It like, if it were anything in this situation, it would have been a lot worse for me. Like any creature or removal spell or something, and then Rulik. Anyways, so I drew Green Widow off the sack and Jaya for turn. Yeah, chess clock has always been on arena. So this is an interesting spot. I definitely want to play my Reach Blocker, and I definitely want to play my Jaya, right? Those are pretty clear. The question is, what do I do with the Jaya? I could plus it, make a 1/1, but like the 1/1 is not likely to be anything more than the 1/1 for forever, basically. And when my opponent's at 5 and I have like a 4/6 and a 7/7, it's like not that likely that the 1/1 matters that much. Versus, I could minus Jaya, which is what I do, target the Vine Wall. Now I can attack, kill the Vine Wall, and they're forced into a slightly awkward block here. They obviously need to block the 7/7 with something, so they're just going to double block and trade, and then they take 4 down to 1. Now I have a Jaya in the battlefield. I'm at 9. I'm about to play a Reach Blocker as well. So it's like kind of awkward. They need to draw a removal spell for Jaya, basically. And their attacks aren't great because I have a 4-power Trampler and a Sojourner. Anyways. They do some scrying. They scry 1 to the top. So I know they have something here. They play Green Widow, and I believe I have 3 mana up to sack it. So they do find them. They do have a Meteorite. I don't know whether they drew this for turn or whether they had it in hand, but they decided to kill my Jaya with it and not like do anything fancy with trying to see if I like don't block and die. Honestly, I wonder if maybe they should have done that. But they play a Wrath and don't attack, I think, right? Yeah, they don't attack. So I just sack the wall. This is my first missed lethal. They had it the whole time? Okay. So, or wait, no, not this turn. I think next turn is my first missed lethal. Yeah, next turn. This turn, don't have good attacks. Don't have anything. Like, I don't just want to sack one of my creatures here. So, yeah. Now, this Wrath is a problem because it lets them attack with their flyer. And I don't quite know why they do this. It feels like feels like this is a mistake from them. Like, I don't think I would choose not to block. Like, if they just don't do anything here, right? They just attack. I'm most likely not going to like just let it through because I know they have a Lightning Strike, right? So I probably just chump here and sack this, and then at the end of my turn get back the Green Widow, and then I'll be tapped out of mana to like activate this. Then they can exile something, right? Probably the Green Widow. Yeah, exiling the wall would also be better. But yeah, this I think was not a great play for them. And definitely, like, great. Misplays on both sides. If they played this turn better, I don't think I would have had any outs. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, so I don't get to block. I go to 2. And I get back the Green Widow. Like, okay, to be fair, I think probably what they're thinking is, I don't want to give my opponent the choice to block, but I think I get a lot more choices by, like, having this wall on the battlefield, for example. Or, like, and also I think the choice to block was, like, fairly, likely anyways. So I don't know. So I draw Tribute here, and this is my first missed lethal. You might think, oh, well, Tribute, if I kill Wrath, which I can, I believe I have one thing in my graveyard right now. Yeah, I have an Impulse in my graveyard. So Tribute gives -3 right now, if I kick it. So I can kill Wrath and attack, but then their Weatherlight turns on after I kill Wrath, and neither of these kill them through that. And then I die on the Crackback. So that doesn't work. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh, okay, great. I can't actually kill them. I did, however, look at the top of my deck. And I was like, huh. And my thought process was like, huh, this Bite Down. I really wish I still had my 7/7 on board so that this Bite Down could do something. Not realizing that the Bite Down was actually lethal. The line is attack with both of these. After they block, they have to block 8/8 on the Trampler. Specifically, this has Trample. That's important. And 1/3 on my 4/6. After they block like that, I sacrifice my 4/6 and I sacrifice my Barricade. That costs 6 mana. I have 12 total, including my Relic. And I draw into this Bite Down, provably, which I know about. And then I can Tribute plus Bite Down. Bite Down deals 4. Tribute then deals another 4. Kills, or like gives -4/-4. Kills the Pixie, actually, even. And tramples over for damage, for lethal. So yeah, that was my first missed lethal line. I think lines like this are definitely hard to find. I have found lines like this before. I think this was definitely just like a moment, like quote, a moment of weakness or whatever. Like this is a mistake I shouldn't have made if I was playing my best. I just like happened to not play my best at this moment, and I got super punished for it. I don't think it was anything like I got a bit tunnel visioned on. I want to go wider than them to kill them, and I thought like, oh, like this 4/3 trample, they can block with their 8/8. There's not going to be a way around that. Yeah. I'm not saying like, I agree. This line is very hard to find. I'm not saying that like I should be ashamed of missing it or something like, oh my god, why did I miss this line? It was so obvious. No, I'm not saying that, right? What I am saying is like, specifically, the thing that I could work on to like see these lines more often is I think I got a bit tunnel visioned here on, like thinking back on it, I think I got a bit tunnel visioned on thinking about what happens when I attack here. Oh, they block with their 8/8. My 4/3 trample is not getting through their 8/8, which is not quite true. Yes, there's enough mana. I thought Flying mentioned this line in Discord, and I thought there wasn't enough mana for it. But then I realized, 1, I do actually have 12 mana, so I can even kick Tribute, and 2, I don't even need to kick Tribute. Oh yeah, in paper you're not gonna remember this. Also, this is like I looked at my deck and I was like, huh, there's a Bite Down there. It's too bad that doesn't do anything. and I like specifically I got stuck on like Tribute kills Wrath, but Bite Down doesn't kill Weatherlight. And I was thinking Bite Down like, oh, I need to kill something with Bite Down, but I don't. No, you can totally like remember these kinds of things in paper if you try hard enough. Like, if I were playing a paper competitive event, I would heavily consider bringing a sheet of paper so I can write down things like this, like write down like the order of things I put to the bottom. But like, I haven't played a paper competitive event since GP New Jersey, which I actually that's the only paper competitive event I've ever played. Anyways. So yeah, I don't do this. I don't take that line, unfortunately. They attack me again. I have to chump and sack. And yeah. Okay, now I draw the Bite Down, and I'm like, I look at my library again, and I'm like, these cards aren't useful. Bortuk, I was thinking, oh, Bortuk maybe gets back a reach blocker or something, or a flyer or something, but like, that's only delaying the inevitable. I want to find something better than that. So I play the Vine Wall to reset the top of my deck, and then sack the Vine Wall to draw something, don't draw anything, and just concede here, basically. Like, I'm dead here. But the lethal line, Bortuk does do something, as it turns out. I don't know. For some reason, like, I just forgot about the Outriders in my graveyard. I was looking at the top of my library. I was looking at the battlefield. I didn't, like, think of Bortuk getting back Outrider. I don't know. I think this was definitely slightly more seeable of a line, I think. Like, this line, I think is a bit easier to find. Again, I don't know. I was just a bit tunnel vision still, I think. I wasn't thinking, oh, I should sack both of my creatures on board to draw the Bortuk. I just wasn't thinking about sacking my entire board enough. But yeah, specifically, I actually can't do it if I pass turn here. This mistake was, at the end of this turn, I should have sacked both to dig to Bortuk, because I don't have enough mana. I don't have Domain 5, so Bortuk needs to get the Outrider to my hand and then play it. Yeah, again, not blaming myself for this line, per se. Like, not saying that, like, it was egregious that I missed this line. Just, like, noting it as a misplay. I could have played better here. And that, you know, could have played better, could have gotten, like, another match win. That would have been good to do. But, you know, happens. Something to take note of, not something to, like, dwell on until the end of time. I saw Sam Black tweet something recently in response to, like, in response to, Tuda Cubed, Tuda Cubed, like, posted a what's to play, and Sam Black tweeted in response, I was like, I do what I do whatever my gut tells me and don't worry about it, because I think the drafting portion is more important. And, like, I completely respect that take. Like, I don't think, like, gameplay is important, but you shouldn't, like, dwell on it too much, I think. Anyways, so yeah, that's how I misplayed this match. I missed lethal twice. And yeah, unfortunately lost because of that. And it would have been a really sweet 2-0. Like, the only, if there's anything I regret, the thing I regret most is, like, how sweet it would have been if I had seen this line. Like, I would have loved to, like, see coverage and chat's reaction if I had found this line. But, whatever. It was not to be. And I lost this game. Another note, I think this, I will get into the details later of why I think this, but I think this decision, this misplay cost me not one match, but in expectation, maybe like 1.3 matches. So, that's unfortunate. But, oh well. Okay, game 3. Game 3 is not very interesting. There's like one interesting decision, maybe two. I think 2 interesting decisions, but we'll go over it. So I decided to keep this hand. It's, like, slightly land heavy, and the bite down is kind of bad, but, like, the mill plan is a real plan for this deck, and it's nice that I can force my opponent to use a removal spell on 2-drop, really. Basically. So, pretty straightforward. I set up my mana, like, I just have good mana, but unfortunately I flood out a bit here. Like, I'm not drawing more spells. I do draw a Pixie. I decided not to play it because I want to kick it. Also, I want to mill this turn. My opponent's, like, just ramping. They play a Magnagoth Sentry, I mill them, and I draw an Urg, which is, like, a pretty good draw here. It blocks the Sentry. So I play Urg, playing to mill them again. Then they attack. I mean, they always make this attack. This attack is completely free. It's maybe Urg gets to attack back for 1 or something, but that's not very relevant. And, like, you know, they have Lightning Strike and Meteorite that could punish me for blocking here, but I don't think I can just keep taking 4 here. I don't, like, have anything to, like, deal with this. I can't just keep taking 4. I don't want to chop with my wall because, like, I want my walls to mill. So I decided to go for the block here, and they don't present a Lightning Strike or anything. But yeah, so I mill them, I untap. This is the first, okay, that was a kind of interesting decision, but here's a slightly more interesting decision. I'm scrying a Vine Wall. So, obviously, I'm kind of flooding, and Vine Wall doesn't actually do very much, right? Like, it's mostly a land plus a defender, right? And I could choose to just mill this with Urg, but I choose to keep it. And this is... I don't know whether this decision was right. Obviously, we're going to see that the decision was very bad given the order of my deck. But obviously, hindsight. My reasoning for keeping the Vine Wall here, which I think is like a very valid reason. So, okay, first of all, it goes to the graveyard, but hear me out. The reason why I kept the Vine Wall. Milling 2 versus milling 3 is actually a big difference. If I'm milling 3 a turn, I'm like reasonably racing this Sentry, actually. Obviously, they're probably going to have more threats, but like my hope is I can like have answers as well. Like I can like play this Pixie Illusionist, for example. So the reason I'm keeping this Vine Wall is that it makes right now the Coral Colony they can just kind of ignore. But if I up that to milling 3 a turn, suddenly it's a lot harder for them to ignore that. And I like am not that heavy on threats. I want to force them to remove this Coral Colony. I'm like drawing a lot of lands. I'm kind of down on cards. I don't expect the game to go that quickly. So like drawing one additional card is not that big of a deal, but forcing them to use a removal spell on the Coral Colony is kind of a big deal. Obviously, it's still not ideal because, I am kind of drawing a land. But that's one of my main reasons. The other reason, I have 2 Gibbering Barricades in my deck. Vine Walls might not be cards now, but they are very much cards later, like because of my Gibbering Barricades. Yeah, no, I agree there's a lot of reasons to not keep the Vine Wall, but okay, sure, my opponent could develop threats, right? What threat am I worried about? Mostly Tatyova. They don't actually have that many, like, threats that, like, quickly kill me. Tatyova dies to Pixie Illusionist plus Bite Down, right? Like, I have an answer to the, like, thing that is most threatening right now, theoretically in hand. End of turn, Prophesied and ran over here at a decent frequency. I don't think they kill that fast. I just don't think they kill that fast. My Urg can block their Magnioth Sentry. I can sack the lands I get off of Vine Wall to Urg to gain life. The mana is relevant. Like, getting more mana is relevant because of Barricade. Like, I think it is a close decision. I don't think a Johnny is a huge issue. Like, they make this 4/4 a 7/7 or something, or maybe they like scry. I don't think I don't think I care that much about a Johnny. Basically, they don't have a flyer yet, so it doesn't do that much. Yeah, like it is definitely a weird line. I'm very much not convinced whether it's correct or not. This was my gut decision at the time that I should keep the Vine Wall. I think we're more likely to be at parity than not. Also, wait, do I know that they? No, I don't. I don't know whether they have Prophecy. Okay. Like, the Vine Wall is actually a card in my deck, and like I have a decent number of outs. So yeah, but it turned out horribly. Okay, let's look at this trigger. So like them doing nothing with 4 mana, my thought is they have a removal spell. Not they have 1 Prophecy, they have a lot of removal, right? I want them to, like, if I force them to remove this colony quickly, right, like, they're less incentivized to cast Prophecy anyways, right? Like, basically, I want to stunt their development by forcing them to remove colony, while also, like, furthering my development in a way that matters. Like I don't want to draw a land here, and this I think is actually significantly better than a land. If they had removal, they probably would have jammed through Urg though. I don't think so. Like they in fact had removal here, and they didn't remove the Urg. Like, in fact, they had both prophecy and removal. Maybe they found the ley line off the prophecy, but like as I thought, they went to remove the coral colony and not the Urg. Like, my evaluation here was just like I want to make the coral colony a target for their removal. It's unfortunate that the removal was 1 mana and let them like keep developing, but you know. Can't do anything about that. Anyways, let's look at this trigger here. I see these 6 cards go to the bottom, which includes three out of like the 5 of my threats, like a Vine Shaper, which I would really like to draw to like, you know, keep gas flowing, a Broken Wings, which I would really like to draw to like answer a big pixie or like kill a Leyline Binding. Like, this is the opposite of what I want to see. And after I see this, I'm like, oh, that was unfortunate. Yeah. Oh, fun fact. I think... Okay, I only just realized this, but I think this order... I assume that this card's on top. So I think if I had milled the Vine Wall, I would have also drawn a Vine Wall and still put these 5 cards at the bottom. So the order of my library did not like me here, which is kind of funny. Obviously, you know, none of this matters. It was all variance. There's nothing you can learn from this. Yeah. If I pin the wall, the same thing happens. Like, none of this, like, it doesn't matter that it was, like, it's still, like, good to think of it without considering, like, you know, what actually happened, because what actually happened is very unimportant. That's just variance. But it's kind of funny, you gotta admit. Anyways, so I get completely destroyed by that. And then I get Shadow Prophecy and Meteorited here. I mean, it makes sense. They didn't have 5 mana last turn because they played a top land. I think I'm supposed to still make that block. It's like they did just Shadow Prophecy. They are likely to have found something, but I still don't think I can just keep taking 4. And I don't think this Urg is making or breaking anything. Like, it's giving me a scry every turn, but other than that, it's just a 0/5 mostly. And I can't like let them just get in for free. And the rest of this game's not very interesting. I kick a Pixie, they remove it. It turns out they had both the Lightning Strike and the Meteorite. Then I play the Tatyova, and I don't think I draw another spell. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm not convinced on that. So, oh yeah, yes, sorry. I, in fact, didn't sack a land. I think it is close. Like, the 2 life could matter. But, like, I mostly agree, and, like, empirically I did agree. I didn't sack the land. Empirically I did agree that the 2 life was not worth sacking a land because, you know, I have Barricades. Barricade is, like, my best out here. Unfortunate. So I lose this match because I missed lethal twice in game 2. And then I go on to the next match. So the next match is against a deck that I don't have a high opinion of. Also, thank you for the follow, Cilantro. I missed that from an hour ago. I don't know if you're still here. I'm great at streaming. Let me see if I can find this. Give me a second. Who was I playing? What was my second match? Gracia. Okay. Okay, here we go. I mean, like, this is saying nothing about, like, you know, whether I think they drafted well. I think where they ended up looked like a bit of a train wreck. But it did have some powerful cards, which were a problem for me. So, like, they ended up in this deck. So, it's a very confused deck that is running a... what is this? This is a 7/6/5 mana base. They're like completely Mardu. And like you can kind of see why looking at their sideboard a bit. Well, they have some powerful cards in their sideboard, but like they really need to play this Cruelty. And they kind of need to play this Devastator. And like they have a lot of red cards. I don't know why they're playing the Cyclops. But like either way, I feel like they kind of didn't get their unplayables mostly, which is why they're playing like this kind of bad mana base. But Cruelty of Gix and Devastator are very real cards, as it turns out. Yeah, I agree that them not playing the second Destroy Evil and like not playing the Sleeper, yeah, they did make some questionable decisions, but in their deck building. But like, I don't think that their deck is like completely horrible. It just has some problems that like I think like I could have built this better, and I don't know, probably could have drafted it better, I would assume, but I don't know. But they have powerful cards. It just looks kind of the mana. Anyways, now let's look at the games. These mostly aren't that interesting. I think there are some interesting mulligan decisions, though. Perhaps. We'll see. I went 1-2 again. This is... Okay. So I see this hand, and I keep it. It's, like, kind of sketchy. It's kind of a 6-land hand. But as I said before, the Vine Walls are valuable. And... having a cantrip makes this card like does help dig to like action as long as I find the blue source. So yeah, this game is pretty straightforward. Play a Vine Wall. They get their mana. I get a relic. Take some damage. They mill some cards with Soul Tender. I play Nail and use it to Joint Exploration. That's why I didn't play the tap land here, because I wanted to Joint Exploration as well. I bottom 2 lands and I draw a Tribute. I decide to chump here to save life, because I don't think this is chumping for more than 3, and I don't want to die to a Shivan Devastator, really. Then... just play Outrider. They play Tori and Ellis. I just remove the Ellis with on their turn, I believe. Yeah, play Urg. So they decide to go for this attack. I don't know what they're thinking with this attack. This is like a really questionable play. Given that they like don't actually end up having anything. Yeah. Anyways, they play I think what they're thinking here is, oh, I want to spend a bunch of mana, so I'm going to first attack with my Tori, because it has Vigilance, then play a Shadow Prophecy. This also could just be a bluff. I don't know if it's a great bluff, though. But they play a Shadow Prophecy, then loot, and then don't do anything, and just, like, lose a Tori for not much reason. Oh, maybe they thought... Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they thought Tori would pump itself. I don't know. Like, it is likely that they didn't get that many reps, but... Yeah. I could see it being a reasonable bluff. I think, I mean, like, your opponent calls that bluff almost always, right? But I don't know. You probably should go for it some fraction of the time. So, anyways, I decide to mill a land and draw a Coral Colony. I attack for 4. They're like kind of dying, and yeah, they just like don't draw relevant cards this game, which is kind of what. Yeah. In fact, I can see that they have a Furious Bellow and a Lightning Strike and a Destroy Evil kind of. Or no, they use this Destroy Evil, I think. Maybe Extinguish the Light. Like, mostly it's the Furious Bellow, and like, you should maybe bluff that sometimes, because like sometimes you do have the Furious Bellow. But yeah. Anyways, this game went about as one might expect. Just they didn't draw relevant cards. Which is a problem that their deck has. They like have a lot of cards that are like fine but don't synergize, like fine commons that don't synergize, like all of these cards really, and like aren't doing much, and I just overpower them like very easily. But yeah, that's how game 1 went, and that's how a good portion of the games in this match would go. But game 2, I can't keep this hand. Like, the only thing I can cast is a 2/2. And this hand I keep and put Urg to the bottom. I want the Relic in order to cast Jaya. I want Vine Wall to develop my mana, and I want a removal spell, so Urg sadly has to go. Anyways, so early turns are pretty simple. Play. Here I decide to tribute something instead of playing Vine Wall. Since I have my 3rd land drop already, and next turn I want to play this forest to play the Relic. I likely want to get a tap land off of this. So like I'm not going to play the tap land next turn anyways. I'd rather just save the 2 damage. Save the 2 damage now. So yeah, they play a strike team, get a bit aggressive. Now I feel like I unfortunately can't really play the Relic. I kind of want to chump this 3 damage, so I play Vine Wall, get a blue-red land, and play that. And then I play this. Yeah, another thing is I want to like get down this Summoner earlier. So yeah. They do decide to attack, and I block like this because I don't want them to have Furious Bellow to kill my 4/6, and they just let that happen. Makes sense. They play Rager. They have 1 red open. So now I play Outrider, just use my mana. I play Cyclops. Oh yeah, I brought in Broken Wings for Cruelty of Gix and Shivan Devastator. I play Tori, I play this. And then they play Cruelty to take my Jaya, and like that is kind of how this game goes. To be fair, they do have this active treason to kill me here, but if I like was allowed to play the Jaya, then I could have like killed the strike team perhaps, or made a 1/1. The Cruelty wasn't most of what happened here. Most of it was the active treason, but it did certainly add up. Yeah, there's not very many interesting decisions here. I mostly just use my mana every turn, and it just didn't line up well. They had a active treason. I forget if I brought in Negate. I think I didn't decide to. I thought about it definitely because of their active treason and their Cruelty, but like the rest of their deck is mostly just creatures. They have some removal spells, but yeah, I just decided I couldn't. Okay, so this hand I was very close to keeping. This is game 3. I'm on the play now. On the draw, I might keep this. On the play, like, this Vine Wall, I need to get to the Vine Wall. I really want to keep a Choking Miasma, and this is, like, a really good hand if this Coral Colony was a green source. But, unfortunately, I can't. So then I mulligan into this hand, and I decide, oh, sure, I'll keep this. It has a Miasma. Like, it doesn't have all my colors, but, like, it has some playable cards in it. Miasma is powerful in this matchup, so I decided to put Broken Wings to the bottom. Because like, I want to cast this on turn 2, cast this on turn 3, and then Miasma. So that's what I do. Oh, of note, this turn I untap, I draw, and I go, like, I mentally go, God damn it, this is the worst possible draw. Not just because I can't cast it, but because they have Cruelty of Gix. Like, this draw loses me the game in this match. If this were, like, mostly any other card, I think I would have been a lot closer to being fine. But, yeah, so they don't do anything. I just play this, and then they play a Relic. I just play that and pass, and they play Cruelty on turn 4, because of course they do. And they take my 7/7, and the game beyond this is, like, very, very, like, unwinnable. Of note, I mill them in response to the Cruelty trigger to limit their tutor options, but, like, I don't mill anything relevant. It's like a Vanquisher's Axe in the Mountain. And then they play a Shivan Devastator because, yeah, they like, did tutor for that, almost certainly. So, yeah, I'm in desperation mode here. I sack, I get a Tribute, get another Tribute. I have no spells in my graveyard. I pass. They get back my 7/7 and then play a Keldon Strike team to give it haste and attack. So I block here, double Tribute to kill the 7/7 and stay alive, barely. But yeah, no, I have no outs here. I clear the board, go to 1, except I don't. I die. Yep, this match was unfortunate. I think I was, like, slightly favored to win this, but when they don't, I think I was favored to win this match if they don't draw Cruelty, and, like, not favored if they do draw Cruelty. I don't know what that balances out to, but I don't know. Either way, slightly disappointing to lose this match. I don't think there was much I could do about it. Yeah. Oh, another thing I was thinking, right after I drew, I like almost wish that this were like streamed or something, because right after I drew this, I like hovered on it a bunch. I was like, God damn it, hovered on it a bunch, and then clicked on my deck and considered the fact that I put Broken Wings to the bottom a bunch, because, like, I put my only answer to Cruelty on the bottom and then drew the worst card too. Draw for Cruelty. It, like, almost makes me think that maybe I should just keep the Broken Wings, but it's really hard to justify that because I do need all my other cards. This, like, certainly was a game where, like, this mulligan hurt a lot. Anyways, that was this game. So I take my bad beats and move on to the next game, where I look at the my opponent's deck list and think, wow, I'm slightly surprised they're 0-2, and also I'm screwed. So let's take a look at... let me find my opponent's deck. This is Sam Rolfe, I believe. Yeah, okay, here. So yeah, this is Sam Rolfe's deck. First thing you notice about this deck, it has a Temporal Firestorm and 3 Tolarian Tears. And 2, a decent, like, list of spells. It has, like, Fires, Timely, Lightning Strike, 2 Impulses. It has a Smash to Dust main. Maybe that's, like, slightly questionable. Maybe they should be playing a Hunting Figment, but, like, this looks like a very reasonable red-blue deck. This deck is 0-2. This deck was 0-2. So, I have a theory why. First of all, no Essence Scatters. Okay, no Essence Scatters, no Geysers. Struggles a bit in the early turns, perhaps, because of that. Second of all, there were some busted decks in this pod. What did Sam Rolfe lose to? I didn't actually look at that. I'm curious now. So Sam... Wait. Okay. Okay, Sam lost to Defenders. Like, a blue-white Defenders deck. Interesting. Notably with a Leyline Binding and a Vrinix Shot. And, like, a bunch of things that could just, like, chump the Terrors. And then also lost in round 2 to Zach's red-green deck. With, like, Colossal Growth and Gaia's Might. I can see why that might have happened. Sam doesn't have that much, like, interaction. I think this deck was a combination of didn't get there in very slight ways, like no Essence Scatters, and also, like, just was a bit slow against some of the faster decks that also had, like, didn't just lose to one Terror, and also, like, got a bit unlucky. That's my theory. Maybe there was some questionable play or something. I don't know. I didn't see the games, but, like, this looks like a completely reasonable deck, but it's O2. And then, so I'm looking at this deck and I'm thinking, one, how is this deck O2? Two, how do I beat this deck ever? Because remember, I have no hard removal. My removal is 1 Bite Down and 2 Tributes. None of those really kill Turlarian Terror. Like, I only have one thing with more than 4 power, so I can't really kill these 3 Terrors. So, like, I have such a hard time winning this matchup. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm kind of screwed. Looking at this deck list already. And that's unfortunate. This is why, this is the reason why I say that my mistake in game 1 lost me on expectation 1.3 matches-ish. Like, probably maybe 1.4 or something, I don't know. Like, whatever probability that I lose the second match, it loses me the third match because I can't beat this deck. And this deck was O2. If I had gone 1-1, then I wouldn't have to face this deck. And I think I'm a lot better against all of the other decks. Anyways, so let's look at how the games went. Are these the games? No, this is the... Oh, wait, no, those were the games. Where is this? Win, loss. Okay, so this is game 1. I decide to keep this hand. The reason, like, this hand looks fairly sketchy, as you might notice. It has 1 land in it. It has no Vine Walls. It has an uncastable double red card. But it does have a Pixie Illusionist that does fix my mana. And I'm thinking, how am I winning against Sam's deck? Well, I think I'm massively unfavored. And I don't, like, the way I beat the Terrors is to just, like, somehow grind through them with, like double block them or something and try not to get blown out. If that's my plan, I can't really mulligan. Like, I cannot grind those out if I mulligan, really. Also, like, they have a Wrath. I really can't mulligan. This is a sketchy hand, but it at least does have a 5-color land roughly with the Pixie, and it does have, like, a 2-mana cantrip that probably draws me to a 3rd land. So, like, it's not a great hand, but I don't think I can mulligan. Like, I think I'm not worried about dying quickly in this matchup. I'm worried about dying late to Terrors. So, yeah, I keep this hand. I don't know whether that's correct. It's the line I decided to take, and I think I'm happy with it. As we'll see, I do get a bit punished, but Sam rolls to 6, plays a mountain. I don't draw a land. I don't draw a land. And I lose my Pixie. I don't draw land. I discard Jaya to hand size. Impulse attacks. I do draw land. Okay, great. And I drew a Vine Wall, so great. My mana's online. And then a Terror comes down. And Smash Dust, main deck doing something. Always appreciate that. And like, this isn't even the worst spot. Like, it just isn't. So here I decide to kick this Joint Exploration because I want another land, and it's possible. So okay, specifically, I want another land. If I draw a tap land next turn, I want to kick this Joint Exploration so that I can play a Mary's Outrider. And like have another land in play. Like I'm basically scrying to lands here, and if I draw an untapped land, I can put the untapped land into play, tribute the Goblin Picker, and also still play an Outrider next turn. So that's what I do. And then there's another Terror. When I play Outrider, I have to chump. And then there's a third Terror. Yeah, I'm never beating this. But, like, I think how this game went supports my theory with my choice to keep the sketchy hand, which is, like, obviously, like, I got punished. I didn't draw lands. But also, they weren't that fast. It took them, like, until turn 5 to play a Terror. If I had just drawn a land, this like, I think was a winnable game. This is, like, turn 5, and I'm on 3 mana. Like, I think this game was winnable if I, like, had drawn lands on time, certainly. I think this, like, really... I think this does support my theory that I do just don't want to mulligan in this matchup. And, like, if I stumble for a turn, maybe that's fine. Still not confident on it, but, Anyways, this is my game 2. Again, I don't mulligan. Oh, interesting. No. I brought in Furious Bellow. I really love this sideboard decision. This is my favorite. This is one of my favorite sideboard decisions in recent times. Let me see if I can find my deck. So this is my sideboard. As you might notice, I don't have any removal in my sideboard, but I do have this Furious Bellow. Furious Bellow is like one of the only ways I can actually cleanly kill a Terror. It's obviously not very clean because it like loses to interaction, but I have a lot of 4/4s. This does kill a Terror on a 4/4, or even on Barricade. I can block and I can use Bellow on a Barricade and use that to kill a Terror. So I think this Bellow is like really important to side in. So, anyways, I see this is my opening hand. Has a Vine Wall and 2 lands and a Green Widow and a 7/7. This is like this is the best card in this matchup as well, if I can cast it, because like it's hard for them to remove it. But yeah. So get my mana going, play a Green Widow, they Lightning Strike it, they attack, and I get kind of unlucky here on my mana. This is like the one time I stumble on mana in my 3 matches. Stumble on mana colors in my 3 matches. Specifically, like my Vine Wall misses finding any red. Like there's no, I think my first red source is, let me count. So there's 5 cards on the bottom of my library, and my first red source is drawn here. So it's the like 20 or like 18th card, and I have 4 red sources. This is like I think I did in fact get on the unlucky side here. I drew only 1 Vine Wall out of 4, and so I looked at fewer cards and didn't find this red source in time. So yeah, I got punished for that, and yeah, this game mostly is just I got punished for that. Slight mistake here. I know they have a counter spell. Like I know that their deck has a counter spell in it, and still I block first then Bellow. I should Bellow first then block, especially since this has trample. Also, the reason I'm killing Monstrosity is because Green Widow can trade for the 5/4 naturally. But yeah, anyways, but really I should Bellow first, then block the Najala if they have a counterspell. Because they already used their Lightning Strike as well. So anyways, I am mostly just dead here. Yeah, and they kill me here. Yep. So yeah, that's how my 3 matches went. In summary, I would say my first match, was definitely winnable, but it was a very hard game. It was a very hard line to see. Like game 1, I easily won, and game 2, I barely lost. Game 3, I lost to just like a very large amount of flooding that I couldn't have done anything about. So yeah. And then match 2, I very easily won game 1, and then barely lost game 2, or not quite barely, like lost it because like my hand didn't quite line up, but like didn't get crushed. It just like I just didn't my hand like lined up slightly poorly with their hand, and that was enough for them to just kill me out with their active treason. And then game 3, I got destroyed by Cruelty of Gix. And then match 3, I decided to go for the high variance play because I think it was just correct to go for a higher variance play in this matchup, and didn't pay off. I'm comfortable with that decision, and I'm comfortable with what happened. And then game 2 got slightly unlucky on my slightly sketchy mana, and yeah, got punished again. So yeah, that's how my draft went. That's how and why I went 0-3. I think there is not actually that much I can personally learn from this. I think I mostly drafted. I think I drafted like. I would be surprised if like a month from now I would disagree. I like suddenly start disagreeing with my draft. I think my draft went basically as it should have. I just like wasn't in a great seat compared to the rest of the table. Like it was an okay seat. And I think I drafted that seat well. And the games, yeah, I already went over what happened. I could be slightly better at finding those small lines, but yeah. Anyways, I hope this was at least entertaining to watch and entertaining to listen to. I hope people learn things, perhaps, maybe. I'm always glad to share what I have and my thoughts on things. I think I'm not going to end up doing like a streamed review of my constructed matches unless people really want them. Like I don't think I would personally get much from that, and like I don't know, I don't think I would be very good at doing it either. Like mostly it would be me saying, I think I may have made a mistake here. I don't quite get the nuance in this matchup to say in what way. And I think I would say that a lot. And I think that was one of the reasons why I didn't do well in Constructed. But yeah. Curious to hear my thoughts on how prepping went. I really enjoyed prepping. Like, I think this was a very hard tournament to prep for because, like, the metagame was so unknown. Like Alchemy is, like, so underexplored because people don't really like it. For Limited, my prep was mostly done actually with some people who there's like a Discord with some people who are mostly like worlds competitors actually, because they also are have a Dominaria United draft in that event, and like also some other random people from like MTGO granders in that Discord, and like, you know, sometimes they do like Magic Online single limbs, which I didn't really do, and sometimes they do like arena pod drafts with the like external website, which I have done quite a few of. So that was most of my prep. I don't know. Okay, one of the problems I have with this format is I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that hard. Yeah, okay. Mostly the reason that I got in that Discord is because I'm like good friends with a Worlds competitor. But But yeah, yeah, basically, okay. One problem I have with this format is like it feels to me like a lot of the decks are very similar, and there's a lot of like contextual commons. That's great. I would highly recommend this draft format. Like, I think this is one of the best draft formats for like most people. Like, this is like one of the draft formats I would most highly recommend. Like, maybe I would recommend this draft format over Kaldheim, but I personally like it a decent amount less than something like Kaldheim because I feel like while there's a lot of like contextual commons, most of them don't actually like get that much better or worse if you're like good at drafting. Kind of like um basically I think they're like you very quickly reach a ceiling in this format where like sure, like Terra, for example, you could say Terra is a build around Tolarian Terra, but I think it's just too good and too easy to build around it. Like it's very obvious. You just put spells in your deck, and like you figure out what spells are good. You put those spells in your deck. You put a bunch of Terras in your deck. You win, right? There's nothing, and like it's just too easy. So Terra's like just consistently good. So you should just consistently take Terra highly. Or something like Chaplain. Chaplain's another great example, right? Like, sure, Chaplain's a build around, but like you should take Chaplain, Pac-1, pick one basically always because it is like so easy to build around and really busted when you do that. And like that's just not exactly like I would prefer there to be a bit more like complexity in build arounds in the draft sets that I like the most. Like don't get me wrong, I still like this draft set. I just think there's like I just feel a bit like capped on like how much agency I can have or like how much it feels like I'm doing unique things in this draft format, I guess. Like in Kaldheim, for example, which is like the obvious comparison for me, like as a multicolor set, like what I want this set to be is Kaldheim, right? Like just the card, like the card Gold Vein Pick, right? Pick is like not a very good card if you don't leverage it. Like you need to know like how to leverage Pick. You need to know like Death Knell Berserker. Death Knell Berserker is another card that's not very good if you don't leverage it. But those two cards together, that makes something like that like can be the core of a deck, and that's really cool in my opinion. Or like Jaspera Sentinel. Like how do you want to use Jaspera Sentinel? Like you need to have some amount of like early stuff, which is kind of weird for a like multicolor, more like long game deck. Yeah. Yes, sealed is another great example. I think this sealed format is kind of bad. Like, yeah, you just like play. I feel like there's very many pools and like more pools than normal in this sealed format, where it's like very obvious what you should play, and you just play that, and the build isn't very interesting. Like, yeah, you just play domain piles. Yeah. Like, yeah. Still highly recommend the format. That's just my thoughts. Some of my thoughts on why I don't actually rate this as highly as some other people. Oh yeah, I agree. I enjoy this more than Streets, but Streets is also not my jam. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's about it for me. That's about all I have to say. I might like upload this to YouTube or something. I don't know. Let's see who else is on. Ham is on. Anyone else drafting? Is it? DeFore is also drafting. I'll read Ham. I don't read Ham very much. I guess Ham is also a pretty big stream. Yeah, I should raid a smaller stream. Sure, I'll just like raid DeFore. I do raid DeFore often, but like I don't know. I tend to prefer raiding into streams that are smaller, like support smaller streams, things like that. D4 is not particularly small, but smaller than ham is, I guess, what I'm saying. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Now that I'm done with like arena championships stuff, I'll probably one more thing after this, but now that I'm done with the arena championship, I'll probably do more streaming of like drafts. I'm kind of thinking of getting into Magic Online again, maybe. I don't know. I just it just feels kind of tough to go back to arena drafts after doing a bunch of pod drafts, but yeah, maybe I'll just do arena. I assume people want to watch arena. Anyways, one more thing I want before I go. I wanted to answer the second half of Double Exposure's question, which was for constructed, how did testing go? I really enjoyed the constructed testing actually. Like, I did like it was tough because like didn't know I am bad. I'm not particularly good at constructed, and also no one knows anything about alchemy really. But like I found like I really liked like refining the deck that we found, and like just like talking about Magic for a long time with people, and yeah, I don't okay like my version of like okay, so my team had 6 people. 2 played Esper, 2 played one version of domain control, and me and someone else played a second version of domain control. My version of domain control, like I thought going into the event was like definitely better than the other version. We spent a lot of time refining, me and like the other person who registered it, Mortiza. We spent a long time refining it, and we like were really happy with where it ended. We did worse than the others on average. I don't know how much of that data point is useful because like I think I would have done relatively poorly with most decks. But yeah, I don't know. I liked where it ended up, and like I don't know, I really enjoyed tuning it. I think I maybe should have played Esper just because it was an easier deck to play, but I don't know. Yeah, it's also definitely small sample size. Yeah, I'm disappointed that like our deck wasn't like completely busted. That like the field was maybe slightly hostile, slightly more hostile than I'd hoped to it. Like, but it like didn't feel like it didn't feel obviously worse than Esper as a choice, which I'm happy with. Maybe a bit more obviously for me, given that Esper may have been easier to play, but whatever. Anyways, I should really get going and say goodnight and read D4. Thank you all for watching. I guess I have a Discord that I should plug or something. I'm very good at this streaming thing, being a content creator or something. Yeah, I might be back tomorrow. I might not be. We'll see. Good night. Good note to end on.